You're playing Tyrion Lannister on Game of Thrones. It's like a lot of people are. Game of Thrones is wrapped, right? It's totally wrapped at this point.
Yes.
Okay. So I know you can't tell me anything about what happens in the season. I'm not going to put you on the spot, but
No, but I'll be all clever and coy with my answers. And frustrate all of you.
no. But happy ending, right? It's all a happy ending, right? Sure.
If you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. You say please again, and you wish you hadn't.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got new Game of Thrones Season 8 to talk about. I also have a trailer for the new book that they're releasing in November that I'll play later in the video. But the Season 8 stuff first. Don't you just love the heavy sarcasm in all the actors' voices when they're asked about getting a happy ending to Season 8? Oh, of course, that's what the story's all about. Game of Thrones, happy endings. Everybody gets exactly what they want. So Peter Dinklage did a whole bunch of other interviews because of a new HBO special that he did, dropping a whole bunch of details about Season 8. There's also some really cool Ned Stark, Sean Bean news too, so we'll break it down. There's a new round of that Fire and Blood book giveaway. It's coming out in November. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and leave a comment on the video. Peter Dinklage had a little bit of fun on Colbert talking about his HBO special, My Dinner with Hervé, but he did talk to a couple different publications giving some better quotes. So first one is about Tyrion's trajectory, his arc through the series. And Peter Dinklage says, he certainly developed a deeper sense of responsibility over the course of the show. He was a pretty irresponsible character to begin with. He used his position as the outcast of the family like an adolescent would. He pushed in all their faces, talking about the other Lannisters. The beauty of Tyrion is that he grew out of that mode in a couple of seasons and developed a strong sense of responsibility, not morality, because he always had that, but what to do with his intelligence. There's a whole lot more to unpack in the next answer that he gave, where the publication asks, without giving anything away, how do you feel about where Tyrion is left at the end of the series? He says, I feel very, bit of a pause. I'm trying to find the right word. I think he was given a very good conclusion, no matter what that is. Death can be a great way out. And that probably sounds like one of the most ominous things that any of the cast members have said about their characters going into the final season. The other actors have been doing a lot of interviews, mostly praising the scripts and how the series does a good job of bookending itself and making it sound like it's going to be a little bit different from what George R. R. Martin might have in mind for the end of Dream of Spring. But if Tyrion really is going to die, there's really only a couple of ways I think that goes down, because they're saying that everybody, regardless of what their ending is, whether they live or die, get very fitting, appropriate endings to the characters' arcs. So for example, Tyrion is not a warrior, so it's not like he would die trying to stab the Night King. It's not like he's going to be running around in battle. There was that hilarious scene with him trying to put armor on, running into battle, and getting knocked out as they all ran in and missing the entire battle. That's a very Tyrion Lannister kind of moment. Battle planning, giving rousing speeches, that's what his character does. Say like during the upcoming Battle of Winterfell against the Night King during Season 8, he'd be someone to stand on the battlements with Samwell and Bran while everybody else like Jon Snow, Daenerys and her dragons ride into battle. If we're talking about endings that are appropriate for the character's arc during the series, usually the things that get him into trouble during the series are wine, women, and his emotions. Letting his emotions get the better of him so he makes really bad judgment calls that cause him bigger problems later on, like with Shay. So there was an interesting interview that he did a while ago where he tried to clarify what's going on between Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion in this moment here, because even though they care about each other, think about the families that they come from, he doesn't know anything about Jon being a secret Targaryen, so that's only going to compound things, and it's going to cause a lot of problems when they get back to Winterfell. More recently, he gave a different interview in the past couple of months where he said that he actually thinks that Tyrion does have romantic feelings for Daenerys, and there is some jealousy in play. So you may have seen a lot of people theorizing recently that Tyrion will be the one to betray Daenerys because of all this stuff that's going on, and she will pull a Robb Stark, Karl Stark moment where she executes him, and that will be the end of the character. There haven't been any confirmations about that, but there are certain moments that they do like to repeat on Game of Thrones, where people make the same mistakes. Like, it would be a mistake to execute Tyrion. So I think whether or not you believe theories like that depends on whether or not you feel like that's a justified ending for the character, and is obviously one of many different theories. Let me know in the comments below, though, do you actually think that Tyrion's cleverness will get the better of him during Season 8, and that will lead to his demise? Not so much an actual physical conflict with someone else, but his own tongue getting him in trouble, because George R. R. Martin has said that before. Tyrion's tongue is always getting him in trouble.
Tyrion just talks, and his tongue is always getting him into trouble. So his weapons are wit and sarcasm and, scathing observances and truth-telling.
Remember what happened way back when Robb Stark killed Lord Karstark. Later that led to Lord Karstark's surviving son siding with Ramsay Bolton against the Starks heading into the Battle of the Bastards. So if history really is going to repeat itself in that way, then if Daenerys got rid of Tyrion, then that could lead to another scenario where you have Lannisters versus Starks by the end of the series. Because there is going to be some second big battle happening at King's Landing, but without really knowing what the alliances are going to be like heading into those final episodes, we don't have an idea for what that battle is going to be over. If it's just going to be purely them getting rid of Cersei because she's gone completely mad, or if it's going to be caused by some emotional turns that lead to the dissolution of their existing alliances right now. You may have also heard the news about a special Game of Thrones episode that they filmed with all the old cast members coming back. Sean Bean was doing an interview for something totally different. Naturally, the interviewers asked him about the Game of Thrones prequels and Season 8 and his thoughts about everything, and he revealed that Dan and Dave brought all the big major cast members back, going back to Season 1, all the dead characters, to shoot a special episode for the final season. They didn't say exactly what they were doing. It sounds more like a documentary-style retrospective where they all sit around and talk about their characters and how they feel like everything played out. Nobody seems to know when HBO is going to drop it, if it'll be before the series or if they'll wait till after the finale, but because they'll be talking about the entire series, it's implied that those people that came back know what the ending is, so they'll be talking about that, meaning that HBO would have to wait till after the finale to air it. The trades were also asking Sean Bean about whether or not he would want his character to pop up during the prequel TV series that they're developing, and we already know that they're not doing Robert's Rebellion, so there's really no way to include him. There have been a few rumors about them casting for the prequel series. They're shooting that in February, so I would say by the end of the year, we'll have a pretty good idea of who's going to be starring in it, because HBO typically announces when they cast people, especially really big actors. They just did the Watchmen pilot earlier this year. They let us know who all the actors were that were starring in that, without letting us know which characters they were playing. So if they want to be really mysterious about it, they might also do the same thing for the Game of Thrones prequel, where they just tell us who the actors are without telling us who their characters are. But if they can finish filming that fast enough, then we might get a cobbled together teaser for it by the Game of Thrones finale. Like they might air the finale and then air a teaser for the prequel series. So we'll hear more about that next year, no worries. George R. R. Martin also dropped a trailer for the Fire and Blood book, but because people are kind of upset about it not being Winds of Winter, and I think everybody understands what Fire and Blood is about, I'll just not include it in this, and we'll talk about it when the book drops if there's any really cool stuff. Leave all your Game of Thrones video requests in the comments below. Congratulations, Smith Tag, you're the giveaway winner from my last big video. Please email me on the About page of my channel so I can get your contact details. Click here to learn all about the direwolves during Season 8, and click here to learn about the early Season 8 premiere date. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.